Hi. Hi.
Ask here, can you type?
Yeah, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Yeah, Ganesh, can you hear me? Yeah. Hi. You take it out.
Okay, buy with this.
Hello? क्या वो? Shut this?
Obsessed.
Yeah, hi. So sorry for the slight delay because of a little bit of technical snags. So I would be starting right now. So good evening, friends. Uh, I am Dr. Kapil Salgia. I am a chest physician associated with Bombay Hospital. Just a moment. हेलो. हाँ हो गया अभी हो गया लाइव आ रहा है राइट. Yeah, sorry, that was just a technical check. So I am a consultant chest physician and a sleep consultant at Bombay Hospital and Medical Research Center, Mumbai, and Kapil Polyclinic at Worli. So friends, we are passing through a difficult time at the moment. The world in the throes of pandemic of coronavirus. It is affecting us socially, medically, economically, financially. Businesses are down. No one knows what's going to happen. All of us are in a state of lockdown. And when this lockdown will get over or will it get extended? So, I will be talking about coronavirus or the COVID 19 as well as asthma. So, starting with what is coronavirus or COVID 19? It is a virus which belongs to the Coronaviridae family. It is a virus which spreads via aerosols. When I say aerosols, it means when you are coughing or you are sneezing, you may transmit the virus. And if you are standing across this person who coughs or sneezes, you may catch the virus. So that's the importance of maintaining a social distance of at least 6 feet between two people so as to avoid the spread of virus from one person to another, as well as to wear a face mask. Apart from that, this virus also stays on the surface for a very long time, because of which staying on the surface for a long time, and if you were to touch the surface and then touch it to your face or nose, there is a chance that you may transfer this infection that you got into yourself. And this is known as fomite bone infection. And hence the importance of hand hygiene, which all of us need to follow by regularly washing their hands or using a sanitizer. Now, can I get coronavirus infection? Yes, anyone and everyone can get exposed to coronavirus infection and become infected. But as we have seen, there is a large population of people who are asymptomatic carriers, where the patient himself doesn't know that he is a carrier for this infection, and only if they are tested, they would come to know. So, a lot of these people might get this infection and remain as asymptomatic carriers, and then a small of number of them might actually become symptomatic. So, what are the common symptoms? Symptoms normally would be fever, which is which is the most common symptom that we see. Apart from fever, patients might have cough, running nose or a stuffy nose. Some of these patients might have associated body pain, muscle pain, weakness. Few of them might have abdominal symptoms like abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, or a diarrhea. A small population of these patients might develop symptoms of breathlessness, and few might become so breathless and hypoxic that they require hospitalizations. These patients from symptomatic may become severely symptomatic, requiring hospitalizations in the ICU with oxygen support, and a small portion of them may even require ventilatory support. People who go onto the ventilator have a high mortality rate. The number of death is significantly high, or mortality is higher in the United States or Italy. In India, at least the mortality is still not that very high, which is a good thing for us. Now, who can get this coronavirus infection? I spoke that anyone can get exposed to coronavirus infection and get infected. But the severity of the disease might manifest itself more predominantly in certain risk groups. So, who are these patients? People who are more than 60 years of age, people who are having underlying diabetes, blood pressure, heart attack, or an underlying cardiac disorder, a valve disease, or an ischemic heart disease, people who have underlying renal failure, people who are on cancer treatment or immunosuppressant therapy like post transplant HIV. And then there is the another group of patients which we normally see is people with chronic lung diseases. That is my specialty. Now, these are a group of patients who have underlying asthma, smoking related lung disease or COPD, interstitial lung diseases. Because of their underlying chronic lung disease, they are at a higher risk to get this infection or have a much more severe course or symptomatic or stormy course of the disease. At times, it might not be easy to decipher whether it is an exacerbation of their underlying disease or whether it is coronavirus infection. Common tests which are employed after evaluating the history is for coronavirus, what we do is a throat swab. It is an either oropharyngeal swab, that means the swab is taken from your throat, from the posterior of your pharynx, uh, accepted. Apart from that, certain tests like an X-ray chest, CBC can be done. CT scans are specific for this disease, which have been done in most of the centers when they are admitting a COVID patient. Treatment, the asymptomatic ones do not require any treatment. People who have an underlying symptom, few of them might be just treated with supportive care. Azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine have been used individually or together in severe diseases. Certain HIV drugs like lopinavir and ritonavir have been used in our country. There is an injectable HIV drug which is not easily available in our country, which can be tried. Plasma exchange therapy has been talked about. But per se, there is not a significant cure which is available for disease at the moment. But friends, what we need to know is that this shall also pass. There will be hardships. We will suffer a lot of consequences, but at the end, all of us will emerge from it. We just need to remember that we need to take care. Apart from that, what I am going to talk to you is about asthma for all our chronic patients who suffer from asthma. In layman terms, what is asthma? Asthma is basically a disease of the airways where a person who reacts or his airways react to a certain trigger. So it could be dust, smoke, or whatever could be the trigger, the airways react and narrow down. And because of this narrowing down, these patients or people might start feeling breathless. They get this sound coming from their chest, which is known wheezing. They feel congested in the chest. They find it difficult to breathe, difficult to walk, at times difficult to climb. It could be associated with cough as well. Now, when you take history of asthma, common thing that you find is most of these patients have a trigger. What could be those triggers? Triggers could be normal household triggers like dust, smoke, strong smell, food smells, could be certain food products. Common trigger that we normally see at home is the use of acids or bleaching agents while cleaning the bathrooms. Apart from that, could be coloring agents in the food. Use of mosquito coil or kachwa chap, commonly known, called used in the households. Good night or all out. These are the common triggers that we see at home. Agarbattis, the use of agarbattis or loban can also precipitate or trigger an attack of asthma. Apart from that, you have occupational exposure to certain chemicals at your workplace, which might trigger your attack of asthma. the construction activity in and around the house, especially in the past decade, a lot of buildings have been broken down, a lot of construction activity is happening. There is road construction, metro construction happening, which has triggered the increase in the number of cases of asthma in people who are never having asthma, or have triggered the exacerbations in our already known group of asthmatic patients. It can also be triggered with certain symptoms of allergic rhinitis or cold, running nose, sneezing. Acidity or gastroesophageal reflux is known to aggravate asthma in 72% of the cases. So friends, is this disease contagious? No, it is not a contagious disease, but there is a hereditary predisposition to this disease. So anyone in the family has asthma, there is a chance that someone else in the family in the next generation may develop asthma. But we need to realize it's a disease which can be controlled. We do not need to be scared about this disease. We do not need to stop doing our routine activities because of this disease. What we need to do is we need to ideally identify that we have this disease, and if we have, we need to start treatment. What are the common tests which have been employed for asthma? So a strong clinical history in absence of any findings and normal reports can also mean that you have asthma and there is not any test which may be indicative that you have asthma. A lung function test can be done which may diagnose it to be asthma, or it might tell you what is the severity of your disease. It might also be used on a long-term basis to see how your lungs are improving over a period of time on treatment, and whether we can step down your therapy or treatment or the dosage of inhalers. Allergy testing has been tried, but normally should be done in that group of patients who have severe allergies or triggers which are not been identified, for which a basic serum IG will tell you there is an allergic trigger, but a skin-based skin prick test is the ideal thing to find out the trigger of your allergy and doing a blood-based test for allergens. Then coming down to the treatment. What is the basic treatment for asthma? What we need to identify is the most important part. When you come to know that you have asthma, it is not a social stigma. It is not that you need to be scared of this disease. It is not that you have to be like thinking, oh God, why me? It's a disease which is easily controllable with adequate treatment to such an extent that we are not really seeing that bad exacerbations in people who are having frequent hospital visits and admissions few years back, since the time they have started proper treatment and are compliant with their treatment. We tell our patients their kids, if they have asthma, can play, can be a part of all social activities and sport activities. They need not refrain themselves from playing any sports. They can play out in the grounds, dust, nothing to worry about. Common precautions that I would advise is keep your surroundings clean. Avoid too much of dust in and around your house. Wet mopping or pota lagana is advisable at least 2 times in a day. Use furniture which does not accumulate too much of dust. Avoid use of carpets or tapestry which has a dust accumulating potential. The bed sheet that you sleep on should ideally be clean and should be covered throughout the day and should be used only in the nights and again covered back in the day. The bed sheets should be cleaned regularly every third or fourth day. There is also dust-free, dust-protective linen available nowadays for your bed covers or for someone who having severe allergy of dust. Apart from that, avoid pets at home like dogs and cats, because dog hair and cat hair can precipitate attacks of asthma. Avoid the use of mosquito coils. All out, good night as far as possible. You can use mosquito nets. Avoid spraying of insecticides and pesticides at home, especially if there's an asthmatic, or ask that person to leave the house when that is done. Avoid the use of agarbattis and incense or any dust producing loban or something that has been used by you at home. So these are the common precautions that you need to take. If there is any construction activity going on in and around the house, just be careful. You may wear a protective mask while doing that. If you have to ride a two-wheeler, you can wear a mask which can protect you from the dust. If preferably, if you have a four-wheeler, that is advisable. Regularly clean your air conditioners, maybe at 3 monthly or 4 monthly basis, car conditioners, office conditioners. In offices which accumulate a lot of dust, please avoid the dusty files. So these are certain precautions that we advise to our patients. Other important thing that we say is avoid cigarette smoking. Asthmatics, smoking cigarette is a strict no. Apart from that, what you need to do is for food agents, you need to avoid, sorry, not allow, avoid food additives in your regular thing. So if you need to have a juice, have a fresh juice. If you need to have a soup, have a fresh soup. And see your respiratory physician and initiate the therapy for asthma. When you come to the treatment part, inhalers are the mainstay of your treatment. Inhalers is the most important drug which is available for management of asthma in the past 2 decades. It's a drug which delivers the drug directly into your airways, so avoids any other side effects. It can be easily stored, easily moved, not too expensive. Common problems, common questions that we ask, doc, will we get addicted to it? You have to understand this is not a bad drug we are giving you. This is not something like a smoke that we are giving you. This is the treatment which is available. What we have seen is with the use of inhalers regularly by our patients, most of our patients are doing extremely well and not having any side effects and maintaining their asthma and doing about all their daily activities. Even in this epidemic or pandemic of coronavirus which is going on, most of our patients are absolutely fine who are compliant with their medications. They have not been visiting us. They just update us on the phones and they're all doing well. Depending upon the severity of disease, your inhalers might be stepped up. They normally contain a bronchodilator and inhaled corticosteroids, which are absolutely safe to use. Various forms are available: inhalers, inhalers with spacers, rotacaps, rotahalers, octahalers, which are available in the market. Nebulization is also available, but we advise that for only a very young group of patients, maybe under less than 1 to 2 years of age, or in the elderly geriatric group who are unable to use the inhalers. Otherwise, inhalers with spacer is very as effective as nebulization therapy and is as effective, and it is much more cheaper. Nebulizations can be used during exacerbations if you are sure that it's not a COVID infection. Friends, this is very important for us. Oral drugs which are available for management of asthma are an add-on therapy. They can be added to your baseline inhaler therapy but are not the mainstay of treatment. You cannot be taking them without taking your inhalers. So inhalers are the most important form of therapy. You have bronchodilators like commonly known as Derifilin or something that you'll use. There are allergic drugs which are available with Montelukast and anti-allergic drugs which are used as add-on therapy. Steroids form an integral part of therapy of asthma, and if any patient does develop any symptoms of exacerbation, which we are sure is not due to a coronavirus infection, then we can safely give those patients a small rescue dose of oral steroids. So, friends, what we have learned in this pandemic in the past 1 month, definitely people with chronic lung diseases are much more prone to develop coronavirus infection or their severity. But an asthma which is adequately controlled, those patients are definitely doing well and they do not need to worry. Ensure that all your asthma medications are updated, they are with you, you have adequate stock lasting with you because we do not know when the lockdown gets over. Maintain your basic hygiene for asthma by taking your drugs regularly, twice a day, or normal course of inhalers. Apart from that, you need to be very clear about using avoiding dust or exposure to any of your triggers which can precipitate your attack of asthma, and feel free to be in touch with your healthcare worker or healthcare physician for management of your asthma. Most importantly, apart from that, maintaining the basic precautions for coronavirus that has been reiterated again and again. Please maintain social distancing. Get out of the house only when you need to. Lockdown is for all our safety. Wear a face mask or some cloth mask definitely when you get out, because it protects you from any asymptomatic carrier around you. So ideally, if both the carrier as well as the person who's exposed are wearing a mask, the risk of transmission is almost negligible. Maintain hand hygiene whenever you come back to the house. Please ensure that you clean your hands properly with a sanitizer or with soap and water if sanitizer is not available all the time. At your workplace, if you are in essential services, keep your surroundings clean with regular sanitization of the surfaces. Avoid touching your hands to surfaces and then touching your face or nose. Friends, these are trying times and we will come through this. Stay home, stay safe, and I am available for any questions that you all have. So, does anyone have any questions? You all can send in your questions by texting in if any of you all have any questions. Mr. Parveen, there is a question that I can see. I can understand what it means. So if you could be able to tell me what or type it again. So now the only thing is that during this coronavirus infection, one of the tests that we normally employ is to do a lung function test. So do we do it now? So normally we are developing protocols to do the test, but ideally we avoid doing any pulmonary function test during this period of active coronavirus infection, so as to prevent any cross infection to any of the patients as well as the healthcare provider. So there is a question by Mr. Saifu that I would like to address. Is there any problem whether we can use air conditioner or no? So the problem regarding air conditioner, I guess this was something which was stated by our Honorable Chief Minister Shri Uddhavji Thackeray a couple of days back. Now there is no data to say whether you can use the AC or no. So I guess at homes it should not really make a problem because you are the closed environment and you're maintaining your temperatures. In a hospital setup where we are examining patients or there is going to be a large amount of crowd, and if the air circulation is not fine, yes, so that might be a place where we would not want to use AC. Most of the ICUs where they are having, if they do not have negative pressure rooms, they are not using ACs. So it would be a good idea not to use ACs in your offices and all where there is going to be a large crowd to prevent the recirculation of the virus in the environment. But using AC at home, I guess, should not be a problem. There is one more question that I have. I guess that explains your question, Saifu. There is one question been posted: how long does the virus remain active on surface? So there are different surfaces where it remains active for different periods of times. So on plastics it may remain for 3 days, for some places it may remain for a day, 2 days. Now this is mostly due to the western data that we know. Now here the temperatures are so hot and India is going to go with 40-45 degrees, so I really do not know how much it is going to stay on which surfaces. But till we are not sure about that, what we need to be following is proper examination of all our surfaces. So if it's your office table, you should basically sanitize it twice or thrice in a day. Your car doors, car knobs, your steering wheels should be sanitized at least twice in a day when you are using it. Any other place which is of common area in hospital, in offices or anything, should be ideally sanitized at least 2 to 3 times a day at 4 to 6 hourly intervals. Lunch normally that we were used to having together on a lunch table should be had on your own workstation with your own sanitizer around you. Tissue papers can be regularly used. So these are the basic precautions that you can take. Virus is remaining active on drinking water. I really would not be able to answer that. See, most of the water that we use nowadays is boiled water at homes and everything. So I guess that should not be too much of a problem if you're boiling the water and using it. Also, what we have, though it has been reported that a large number of asthmatics and all should get exacerbations or they should have a problem with this disease, what we are seeing is completely different. Maybe because most of the patients are actually very aware of this environment, so they are staying home, they are taking their medications, not taking a risk. So most of our asthmatics are actually doing very well. Also, because you're not getting out, there is a significant decrease in the pollution in the environment. So I guess as a result of that, also most of our patients are remaining well. The normal incubation period is around 2 to 15 days. So almost at least for 14 days, we maintain that it should be an incubation period and we need to take our precautions. Few cases have been reported where people have been positive even after 28 or 29 days, but more so ever, I guess the incubation period is around 14 to 15 days. I guess this virus is going to change a lot of the way that we have survived. I guess there are going to be radical changes that are going to happen in our day to day lives, especially regarding overcrowding and personal hygiene. But one thing is good, कि most of us have learned what is social distancing and hand hygiene, and this may go a long way in the entire country to reduce the transmission of various other infections also that we see on a day-to-day basis, like gastrointestinal infections and all, because of better hygienic measure that will be followed by the population on the whole. So the common symptom of coronavirus would be fever, which is the most important symptom. which could be low grade to a high grade fever. The other common complaint that we feel is cough, sore throat, a running nose or a stuffy nose associated with body pain and muscle pain. Breathlessness is not there in all the patients, but it is definitely there and more in the people with an increased age group or with an underlying comorbid condition. They normally would have more of breathlessness. Few patients do also present with gastric issues like nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Regarding when the antivirals will be available for this disease, I do not think that it is there on the horizon. I guess a lot of research has been going on all over the country for the same, but at the all over the world for the same rather. Vaccines work on vaccines has started, but per se at the moment there is not much treatment, definitive treatment available for this infection. Drugs have been tried. There was a lot of noise about hydroxychloroquine being used, but there's some data getting released where hydroxychloroquine might be associated with serious side effects, and it is not being used right now. So, one of the questions is how much time does it take to cure? So, normally the patients might become asymptomatic in a couple of days or a week, but then they need to be kept in isolation or quarantine facility for at least a total period of 14 days or till at least one or two swabs become negative so that they do not enter into the community and transmit infection to other people around them. I guess this is going to be a very important thing for all of us. Even people from all other disorders like diabetes, blood pressure, ischemic heart disease, please do take all your medications on time. Every patient who suffers from coronavirus is not gonna die. So do not be. Other thing that we have seen is there's a lot of anxiety and fear because of this disease. And a lot of people are having emotional triggers, which is an important component for treatment of for triggering asthma. A lot of anxiety can trigger asthma, and as a result, we need to be taking care of that. We need to maintain adequate hygiene and not be very anxious. A lot of people are actually not being able to sleep because of anxiety, especially when someone in their surrounding gets coronavirus infection. And please, having coronavirus is not a stigma. We do often read in the newspapers or on the media, people having coronavirus have been shunned from their buildings. It's not so. It could be you, me, any of us at any point of time, and it is a viral infection like all other viral infections and can happen to any of us. Please do not treat these patients as outcasts. Be supportive for them, help them around. Today it's their turn, tomorrow it could be us. So please do not. It's not a stigma. There is a question by Mr. Atmaram whether there is an age factor. Yes, definitely people as the age increases. So people who are more than 60 years of age or more than 70 years of age, they are much more prone to develop coronavirus infection because of lower immunity, and they might also have higher severity score of their disease and could be associated with increased mortality compared to a younger healthy person. uh, what about children? So what we have seen is most of the people in the children or the pediatric age group for some reason have done well. We do not see this disease more common. We see this disease more common in the adult age group than the pediatric age group. Yes, there are kids who may have this infection, but the numbers are not as bad as the adults. Yeah, vitamin C and Zincovit. These are normal immune boosters. Normally, for all our patients with recurrent upper respiratory tract infections, people who have been coming to us with frequent allergic rhinitis, recurrent colds, or asthma, we have always told them that vitamin C normally is important for them to improve their immunity. So, for viral infections, use of vitamin C and Zincovit to boost up your immunity definitely help. Most of y'all are at home right now, so most of us are eating healthy. We are having our fruits, we are having our salads, we are having our vegetables, we are exercising, we are sleeping adequately, we are doing our yoga, meditation. So all these things, we are stress free, we are getting adequate rest. So all these things are definitely helping our build up our immune system, protect our immune system. And vitamin C and Zincovit is definitely gonna, any zinc supplement is gonna help us. So there are certain common myths, like asthma is a subject which is very close to our heart. A lot of people have a lot of myths about asthma, which we normally tend to clear. Whenever we see an asthmatic patient, the common questions are why me? Did I get it from someone? No, you cannot get it. It's not a contagious disease. It has happened because you were prone to it because of your family history, or there are certain triggers which have basically caused a problem for you. So do not please worry about that. And if you have asthma, that is not end of the world. The treatment is very simple. You just need to start using inhalers. Your healthcare physician will advise inhalers, which could be a simple inhale corticosteroid or an inhale corticosteroid with a bronchodilator, which significantly improves your quality of life. You will be able to do all your activities regularly. If your symptoms are well controlled, then those patients or suffering from asthma, your healthcare physician will basically reduce your dosages of drugs and decide your further course of treatment. You don't really need to use nebulizations on a day-to-day basis. Inhalers are as effective and much more cheaper and economical on the long-term basis. Nebulizations, normally the nebulizing chambers and all needs to be cleaned properly and should be preserved properly. If you're going to leave it around, then there is more chance of getting secondary infection or contamination. So that is what you need to take care about. So that is about nebulization. A lot of kids suffer from asthma, but it's never picked up. They keep on going to the local doctor, keep multiple courses of antibiotics, cough syrups or steroids, and either are not picked up by their physician that the kid has asthma, or if it's been picked up and advised an inhaler, then the parents are very inhibited to start inhalers. Please don't be so. We have seen a large population of patients where we have used inhalers even in young children, and their quality of life has definitely improved. Their frequent attacks of recurrent coughs, breathlessness, and days away from school has significantly gone down, and most of our kids are doing well. So please ask all your questions, clarify all your doubts and queries. But in case if the need arises and if your kid is an asthmatic, please do not deprive him of the use of inhalers just because of certain stigma or inhibitions, because you are denying him a chance for a normal well-being. Our aim is our patients should be able to maintain their daily quality of life, do all kinds of physical activities, swim, run, jog, mountain, go trekking, and do everything that a normal person does, and like any other normal person. But in case if it's needed, they should be using their inhalers regularly. Vitamin C and zinc both can be used commonly together, not a problem. So symptoms most commonly for COVID-19 infection would be fever, which is the most important symptom that is there. Apart from that, some patients might have a cough, some patients might have a sore throat, some might have a running nose. Severe forms of disease, patient may have breathlessness, and at times some of the patients are also there, they have no complaint of breathlessness, but when they come to the OPD, they have very low saturation, and that is why they are known to be called happy hypoxic. There is also a group of patients which might be there. Now, doctor, if I have asthma and also if I have increased breathlessness, how do I know it is not coronavirus and it is an asthma exacerbation? So mostly if it is a pure asthma exacerbation due to dust or exposure to a certain trigger, or you have missed your medications, then the symptoms would be predominantly of breathlessness, of cough. If it is suspected to be coronavirus or any other viral or infective etiology for your exacerbations, then that group of patients would have an associated history of fever. So vegetables, once you are getting them home, you can clean the bag of the bag which has the medications, and then you can basically clean it in water, and you clean it with water and use the vegetables. So should not be too much of a problem. Most of the vegetables are peeled before use, so should not be a problem. They can be kept in water, lukewarm water, for some time. So there is one symptom nowadays: normal cold or cough at home. So what you need to do is, if it's a normal cold and cough, please observe. If it's not high grade fever, and if it is a certain trigger which is called a normal cough and cold, it might be self limiting. You can get in touch with your general practitioner and explain to him what are your symptoms and get treated. If you are in that elderly or a high risk age group where you are more than 60 years of age, you have an underlying comorbidity, or you have some condition like a chronic lung disease, you are a post cancer or patient on chemotherapy, post transplant, or on dialysis, then you have to be a little much more observant for the same. There could be just a plain allergic cold and a cough which might be there, which might settle down with symptomatic treatment in a day or two. But in case if you worsen or if the fever is not settling, do get in touch with the general practitioner, and if advised, do get your throat swab done. Antibiotics, question whether antibiotics are important. Antibiotics are not really effective to treat coronavirus infection. They might only be used if there is a secondary bacterial or a super added infection, but per se treatment with antibiotics is not going to treat coronavirus infection. So antibiotics might be started initially with your physician when you consult with him on the phone when you have a cold, cough, or a fever, because at times it is not very easy to ascertain what could be the cause. So in those group of patients, antibiotics are started, but per se, antibiotics do not really have a role to play in coronavirus infection. Only macrolide antibiotic azithromycin has been used in management of coronavirus infection, but to be used with precaution in people with an underlying cardiac disorder. So asthma patients basically have, there's a question ki how asthmatics are at a higher risk. Asthma patients who are not very well controlled, people with very mild or asymptomatic asthma might still do well, but patients with moderate to severe disease may be more prone to develop a coronavirus infection, and this infection can aggravate their attacks of asthma and cause a severe exacerbation. Also, viruses are known to trigger exacerbations of asthma, and coronavirus itself being a virus can also trigger an asthma in an underlying case of bronchial asthma. So those self-assessment videos which have gone viral on WhatsApp where you can hold your breath for 10 to 15 seconds, I really do not know is the right way to check for asthma. I really don't think so. That's the ideal way to check for your breathlessness or whether you have coronavirus infection. So ideally, if you have the symptoms or if you have come in contact with someone who is suffering from coronavirus infection or had a history of travel or has been to a place where there was a high concentration of people with coronavirus, I don't think so. Such things can tell you whether you have or you do not have a coronavirus infection. So today it is coronavirus. God knows when there would be some other virus. So I guess all of us just need to be watchful. Doesn't just work for asthma, works for any other disease. So if you're suffering from any other disease, please optimize your treatment and be on optimal therapy. Please do not skip doses. Whether it be a hypertension medication or your diabetes medication or your heart medication or your arthritis medication or your kidney medication or your lung medication, please be compliant with your treatment. These are difficult times where you may not be able to get out of your house because of lockdowns, to be in touch with local doctor, but you can call him up, WhatsApp him, do a teleconsultation if required, ask him for some uh, advice if you require, but at any cost, do not skip your medications. If you are low on quantity of your prescribed dosages, call in your local pharmacy and keep adequate stocks available, because you don't want to skip your diabetes or your BP medication days and develop another complication due to your underlying disease in this difficult times of coronavirus, where you might go to any hospital and you will have to undergo a COVID testing, and healthcare can become a difficult situation. I know, with the trains opening up and the buses opening up, once it happens, there is going to be a concentration of people who are going to come together. And then there, I guess, all our advice regarding social distancing will go out for a toss. So it will be important for all us, the citizens of the country, to follow basic hygiene. And even when the city opens up, we need to maintain our precautions for the next coming couple of months or maybe longer, to protect ourselves and our dear and close ones from this disease. Okay, so this question from Mr. Rahul, which is very good, ki the use of mobile, laptop, and TV has gone very high, especially in children due to their online classes. So I really do not know how to answer this one. Kids are locked up in the house. Even if they want to go out and play with their friends, we are not allowing them. They're not allowed to go cycle or do any form of physical activity. So yes, so as a result, they are watching TV for a long period of time. People who have schools going on are using laptop for a long period of time. But what I would suggest is you build up certain fun activities for your kids so that they are not on all this screen for a lot of time. So if they have online classes going on, nothing can be done about that. They will have to do that. But apart from that, in their free time, rather than watching a movie or being on computer the entire time or laptop or WhatsApp, they can play board games. They can play a game like Scrabble or anything else. They can draw. They can do art, craft. They can help the parents, since maids are not coming, in keeping your house clean. They can be involved into day-to-day activities where the entire family works together, cleaning, mopping, washing utensils, helping in all other household chores can be done by them. And I guess they can read books. They can read any amount of books that they have, so that improves their vocabulary and improves their reading as well. Avoid too much of junk food, because we don't want to come out as obese individuals, because since most of us are home the entire day, so the only thing time pass is eating all the time, and most of the times it is junk which everyone likes. So try to do some form of exercise, control your diet so that all of us by the end of the lockdown don't come out with big bellies and become obese. That is going to be another risk factor added for all other disorders. I guess, are there any more questions that you all have? You all need to ask me something. Please go ahead. Even if it is not related to asthma, it is general medical thing that you all need to ask me. Please go ahead and ask. I'll be happy to answer if I can. So other thing that I would say is smoking should be avoided because smoking itself can increase the predisposition to coronavirus infection. So please, if you're a smoker, try to cut down or avoid less time that you can utilize to quit smoking. Turn cold turkey. Since you're not getting cigarettes, please, this is the best time for people to go off smoking, tobacco, or any other form of tobacco products because you'll never get a better time. You have been compelled to stay at home, not get out, and you can break this habit of smoking or chewing tobacco. Even for that matter, alcohol, if you consume alcohol on a daily basis, for all those alcoholics, this is the right time to get off your thing, divert your mind to something else, and be away from all these vices if you are having them on a day to day basis. Pre fasting sugar 140 is not too high, but we just need to do what is the post lunch sugar, what is the last 3 month HbA1c. So if you can control it better, that is better. It's not very serious, Mr. Rakesh, but yeah, fasting sugar of 140 is definitely on the higher side and can be controlled by improving your diet and exercise. I guess most of the questions are over. So, does anyone have any more questions, or I guess we should end this session? So one more question, plasma therapy. So plasma therapy has been advocated now at certain centers for those severe cases of coronavirus infection. It has been tried in few centers and they do say that there is some benefit or definite benefit which has been seen with plasma therapy. And I guess more and more centers might be starting to wherever there is facility available to see whether plasma therapy can work. I guess plans are to start in certain centers in Mumbai or Pune or Delhi to see whether it could work. And suppose if it works, it would be really something definitive that may come out of this entire disorder. But again, it will be for which group of patients, and it would be for the more severe group of patients who are really sick. I guess this would be, I guess we've already crossed 7. So I would wait for a minute if anyone has a question, and maybe if not, we may go ahead and end this session. If any questions you all have, I'm free to answer at any point of time. Also, you can get in touch with me on my mobile number 9820091739. For any information regarding asthma coronavirus, feel free to ask me. You can WhatsApp me or email me on drkapilsalgia@yahoo.co.in. I repeat, drkapilsalgia@yahoo.co.in. So I guess I should sign off now. Thank you very much. And once again, stay home. Okay, there's one more question which is come. So looking at Mumbai increasing patients, lockdown. Oh, that's a political question. The way numbers are increasing, we really do not know what's going to happen. There are certain news going around on WhatsApp and all today that the period of lockdown in cities like Mumbai, Pune, Delhi might be extended, but I really do not know how it is gonna be. So I guess we just need to keep our fingers crossed, hope the disease curve flattens and the number of cases which are flattened down, the number of cases do not increase, and all of us are safe. And hope this lockdown gets over so we can start to get back to some resemblance of our normal routine activities. So anything else? Yeah. So I guess we have crossed the time, and I guess I would be ending this session. Friends, don't be scared. Do not fear. This too shall pass. Be home. Maintain social distancing. Maintain the use of face masks and hand hygiene. Do take your medications regularly. Be compliant with your treatment protocols. In case, get in touch with your healthcare provider at the earliest for any small question if you cannot understand regarding your disease or your health. And please, people with coronavirus, do not treat them with as a stigma or ostracize them. Be inclusive. One of us can get it at any point of time. So please do not treat them like outcasts. And asthma is a disease which can be easily controlled with regular use of medications and inhalers. Please use the medications regularly as advised by your physician. Thank you. Okay. There's last question that I will take. There's the last question which has come. So as I already told you, it's not always easy to distinguish between whether it is an allergic attack of asthma or coronavirus, but definitely if there is coronavirus infection, there would be fever as one of the manifestations of increased cough and breathlessness. So if you have increased breathlessness and cough with body pain, a lot of muscle pain with presence of fever, it would indicate some infective trigger, whether it is viral or bacterial or coronavirus. We would not be knowing that. Okay, I guess Anurag, that uh, answers your question. Thank you.